this classroom activity, we have seen the two lines, as this one is the horizontal and this one is the vertical line. That two lines actually helped us to locate the position of Ria's bench in a classroom. So now we can see that as these two lines are actually perpendicular to each other, and these two lines will definitely help us to locate the position of any point or any object in a particular plane. So this simple idea of locating any particular point in a plane with the help of these two perpendicular lines give rise to an important branch of mathematics, which is nothing but a chapter which is called as the coordinate geometry. And this whole concept is actually invented or developed by a French mathematician whose name is René Descartes. And just because of the René Descartes, or in his honor, the system which help us to locate the position of any point on a number line is called as nothing but a Cartesian system. This is nothing but called as a Cartesian system, in which we have two perpendicular lines, this line horizontal one and this line which is nothing but a vertical one, which is nothing but perpendicular to each other. These two lines will help us to describe or to locate the position of any point or any object in a number line. So this is all about the introductory part of the coordinate geometry. Now let's just further talk about the Cartesian system, a system which helps us to describe the location of a point in a plane furthermore. So as we already have seen that the two perpendicular lines, these two perpendicular lines are actually nothing but they are forming the Cartesian system, and these two lines are actually helping us to locate or to describe the position of any point in a plane. So these two perpendicular lines, which is nothing but a horizontal line as well as a vertical line, do have their own special name. As we can see over here, this particular horizontal line is nothing but called as an x-axis. This is called as x-axis. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so goes on. This particular number line is actually called as an x-axis. So always remember that in the Cartesian system, in which we have the two perpendicular lines, the horizontal one is nothing but called as the x-axis. This is called as the x-axis. And further, let's just talk about this vertical line. This vertical line which is actually perpendicular to this horizontal line. This is perpendicular to this horizontal line. So this vertical line is called as the y-axis. This is called as the y-axis. So always remember that in a Cartesian system, we do have two lines, a horizontal one and a vertical one. The horizontal line is nothing but called as the x-axis, and the vertical one is nothing but called as the y-axis. And an important note, where the two lines are meeting together, this particular point O is nothing but called as origin. So the intersection of the two axes, that is x-axis and y-axis, wherever they are meeting together at the point 0, this is nothing but called as origin. This is called as origin. So always remember, in a Cartesian system, we have two axes, x-axis, y-axis, and the x-axis is the horizontal one, the y-axis is nothing but a vertical one, and the point of intersection of the two axes, that is this point of intersection, is nothing but called as origin. And furthermore, we do know about the number line, as both of these are actually the number lines, and all these numbers are at a 1 unit distance from each other. We all are aware about this, that all these numbers, that is this distance, or this distance, or this distance, or let us suppose we are talking about from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, all these are actually at an equal distance of 1 unit from each other. So this is a 1 unit distance, this is a 1 unit distance, and so goes on. So this is all about the Cartesian system, a system which will definitely help us to locate the position of a point in a plane. So always remember these three things, that is, the horizontal line is called as the x-axis, the vertical line is nothing but called as the y-axis, and their point of intersection is nothing but called as the origin. Now we do know that this all situation is actually invented by Rene Descartes, and he actually have taken the two lines as a horizontal and a vertical line. So when these two lines comes together in a perpendicular manner, when these two lines come together in a perpendicular manner, then these two lines will help us not only to find the location of any point in a plane, but they are really helpful in some other real life situation as well. So let us suppose we are just talking about these two lines in which we do know that we have this line as nothing but called as the x-axis, which is now we can see that it is elongated in this manner, and similarly we have this vertical line which is elongated in this particular manner. So this is nothing but called as the y-axis, this is nothing but called as the x-axis. So we have taken now these two lines in this particular manner, and we do know that this system will definitely help us to describe the location of a point in a plane. So let us suppose I'm taking these two perpendicular lines on a graph. I'm taking these two lines on a graph in such a manner. So let's just take the numbers on these two lines, as we know that their point of intersection is nothing but called as the origin, and this point is 0. Now let's just mark the numbers over here. So we do know that the numbers which are on the right hand side of 0 are nothing but positive. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so goes on, because this is a line which is so goes on. And similarly the numbers that are on the left hand side of this line is nothing but -1, -2, -3, -4 and so goes on. And in the similar manner we do know that this particular vertical line is called as the y-axis. Now let's just mark the numbers on it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so goes on. The positive numbers in the upper direction and the negative numbers in the lower direction. So this is -1, -2, -3, -4 and so goes on. So this is nothing but our Cartesian system, which is also called as the Cartesian coordinate system. This is also called as the Cartesian coordinate system, and with the help of this particular system we now will able to locate the point in any particular plane. So let's just further talk about this particular system, because there are various elements which are related with these two lines. So let's just further talk about the two lines. As we do know that we have already seen the lines or the two number lines in which we do have some positive numbers, in which we do have some negative numbers. So as we can see over here, I have just taken the positive numbers as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the x-axis and 1, 2, 3 on the y-axis. As we can see that these numbers are all positive. These numbers are all positive, and these numbers, as we can see over here, -1, -2, -3, which was on the x-axis, which was on the y-axis, these two are nothing but negative numbers. So there are some positive numbers on the number line, or we can say on the axis, and there are some numbers that are negative which are on the axis or on the number line. So as we can see over here, these numbers are positive, these numbers are nothing but negative. Now let's just further talk about these numbers. As we can see over here, this is nothing but our Cartesian system in which we have two axes. This is nothing but perpendicular to each other, and this O point is nothing but called as the origin. Now let's just further talk about the positive or the negative conventions of the x-axis or of the y-axis. As we can see over here that the upper portion or the this region is nothing but involves the numbers that are positive, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so goes on. So all this section involves a number that are positive. Similarly, these numbers that are in the downward direction on the y-axis, that are lying on the y-axis, we are basically talking about the y-axis only. So the numbers that are on the upward direction of the y-axis, they are all are positive, but the numbers which are on the downward direction of the y-axis, they are nothing but all are negative. Now let's just talk about the x-axis. As we can see over here, this is nothing but the numbers that are lying on the x-axis, and we can see all these numbers are nothing but positive numbers. All these numbers are nothing but positive numbers. So from the y-axis, it will say the numbers that are lying on the right hand side of the y-axis. This is nothing but the right hand side of the y-axis. This is nothing but the right hand side of the y-axis. So the numbers that are lying on the right hand side of the y-axis, they are nothing but all are positive. As we can see over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all are positive. And similarly, the numbers that are lying on the left hand side, of the y-axis, they all are negative. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, all these numbers are negative. So we do have some positive numbers, we do have some negative numbers. In the same manner, we have the numbers on the x-axis and we have the same numbers on the y-axis. So we have positive as well as negative numbers, but they do all have a specific location on the number line. As we can see over here, these numbers are all negative. The numbers that are lying on the left hand side of the y-axis, all are negative. The numbers that are lying on the right hand side of the y-axis, all are positive. The numbers that are in the upward direction of the x-axis, or the numbers which are on the y-axis in the upward direction, they are positive, and they all numbers are nothing but negative numbers, and the intersection of both these axes form a number 0, which is nothing but called as origin. So this is all about the sign conventions of the numbers that are on the two axes. Now let's just further talk about the Cartesian system again, in which we do know that these two lines are actually separating this plane into 4 sections. As we can see over here, that these two lines or these two number lines are actually, they are separating the whole plane into the 4 section, and this one is nothing but the first section. So let us suppose I'm calling this as first section. This is nothing but called as the second section. This is nothing but called as the third section, and this is nothing but called as the fourth section. So we always have to take all these sections in an anti-clockwise direction. And such sections are called as quadrants. Such sections are called as quadrants in a Cartesian system. So always remember that the two number lines or the two axes, basically they separate a particular plane into 4 sections, and those sections are called as quadrants, and we always have to take the sections or the quadrants in an anti-clockwise direction. So this one always is our first quadrant, this one is the second, this one is the third, and this one is the fourth quadrant. We will discuss further about the quadrants, but now we just are taking the introductory part of the quadrants. So this is nothing but called as quadrant. So always remember, quadrant means the sections which will be generated after or we can say that when two perpendicular lines, whenever we will draw the two perpendicular lines, then they will divide a particular plane into the 4 sections in this manner, and these 4 sections are actually called as the quadrants, and we always have to take the quadrants in an anti-clockwise direction. We will further discuss about it, but this is all about the introductory part. Now let's just further move on towards the coordinate geometry, because this is all about coordinate geometry and we are just discussing the Cartesian system, which definitely help us to locate the point on a number line. So let's just further talk about the real life applications.